Let's go to White House correspondent Karen Travers for more on this. And Karen, I wanted to ask you about President Trump. He stayed out of the limelight during this vaccine rollout. Now, he did have COVID. He's had that monoclonal antibody treatment that maybe you don't get the vaccine afterwards. But why isn't he cheerleading for this vaccine as president of the United States, or at least in a very Trumpian way, taking credit for it?
Absolutely. It's really striking that we haven't seen the president all week. He has had no public events focused on the rollout of this vaccine, a really momentous, historic moment for his administration and this country. Now, Terry, if you look at the president's tweets all week, it's because he's been very focused on his push to overturn the election results and which Republican lawmakers are being loyal to him. But, you know, the president's really tied his legacy on the pandemic to the development of this vaccine. And to not see him out there front and center, to not see him taking credit for this is really something. You know, you had the Health and Human Services Secretary, Alex Azar, on Monday at a hospital here in Washington, applauding the first people in town to get the vaccine. You had Vice President Pence not just getting the vaccine today, but touring a facility in Indiana this week where they're making the vaccine. The president, of course, has not done anything. But, Terry, one thing he has been saying in recent weeks is Joe Biden better not get credit for this. He says he should get the credit.
Well, he should go out there and cheerlead for it instead of trying to overturn the election. But look, we've now seen leaders in both political parties get vaccinated here in Washington. Speaker Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. So that's a rare thing. How significant is it? Do you think it's real, that bipartisan support for the vaccine?
Well, you know, I think when you look at some of the poll numbers, there's certainly more skepticism among Republicans out there in the country about taking the vaccine. We had a poll out earlier this week that said only 28% of Republicans said they would do it immediately. And, Terry, a quarter of Republicans in that poll said they wouldn't get the vaccine at all. So certainly it's a big priority, big challenge for this administration and Republican lawmakers to convince their constituents and their supporters that they need to do this. So seeing somebody like Senator Mitch McConnell today getting that vaccine, proudly putting out the photo of it, we'll see how far that goes to getting people on board with it.
And let's see if any of that bipartisan support for the vaccine carries over to the crucial issue, that coronavirus relief bill that has been stuck for so long, millions of Americans waiting for it. So, you know, what is the latest on those negotiations?
Yeah, it's a holding pattern right now on Capitol Hill, Terry. There's no update from where things stood yesterday. Now, lawmakers and leaders from both parties are saying they're still optimistic that they can pull a rabbit out of their hat, that they can get something done. But the clock is ticking, you know, and there have been some new hurdles that have developed today. Republican resistance to some disaster aid and Democrats pushing back on Republicans trying to limit the power of the Federal Reserve. These things always happen in the final hours of negotiations. But the fact that we haven't seen any progress at all today, not any statements saying the ball has moved any further down the field, is certainly troubling. Still, they're trying to put some optimism on this and say they can get it done by a self-imposed deadline of tonight at midnight.
Well, we'll see about that. And on just keeping the government going, the S word is being bandied around town, the shutdown. Is that a possibility?
It absolutely is, because that deadline that they gave themselves for COVID-19 relief is only because they're trying to tie the COVID package to a must-pass government spending bill. The deadline runs out at midnight tonight, because remember, they had a deadline of last Friday. They gave themselves a one-week extension. Well, here we are now, hours to go, and there's no progress being made at this point. So there's a push now. Do you just pass the government funding bill, get that cleared, keep operations rolling, keep the train going? Well, some say if you do that, it alleviates the pressure and that impetus to get a COVID bill done, and that's why they want to tie the two things together. So, Terry, if there is a shutdown over the weekend, it's likely to be a very short one, a partial shutdown. The ones that happen over the weekend don't tend to be very dramatic. Nothing really changes. But, I mean, for this Congress, the fact that they haven't done anything on this COVID relief since the spring, to have this as one of the last bits of their legacy, getting a government shutdown in the middle of right during the holiday season, is not exactly a great headline for either party.
Yeah, it's no way to run a popsicle stand, as my mom used to say. Karen Travers, thanks very much for that.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.